Mario Cristobal has failed Miami again, and I don't say that lightly. He's built up a good program, better than the one he inherited, and he's brought the Hurricanes much closer to resembling the powerhouse they used to be. But every time it feels like Miami is about to reclaim that identity, Cristobal finds a new way to fall short. This is a coach with one of the most talented rosters in the country. Malachi Toney, Mark Fletcher, Wesley Besant, Keontae Scott, the list goes on. Miami isn't lacking players. They're loaded on both sides of the ball. They started this season on fire, taking down Notre Dame in the opener, which was easily their toughest matchup on paper. But somehow, after a 5-0 start, they've turned into a 2-loss team that no longer controls its own destiny. And in Miami, falling short of the playoff every season isn't acceptable. This isn't a program that measures itself against good seasons. Miami measures itself against greatness, and Cristobal is not meeting the standard. If Miami were simply losing to top 5 teams, that'd be one thing. But that's not the problem here. The issue is that Miami has top 5 talent, and for the first 5 weeks of the year, they looked like it. They played fast, confident, and physical, like a playoff team. Then, almost overnight, they collapsed. 2 losses in 3 weeks. One at home to a solid Louisville team, the other, much worse, on the road against an unranked SMU team. If it were just the Louisville game, fine. Even elite teams have down weeks. Alabama lost against Florida State in their opener. Georgia nearly lost to Georgia Tech last year, and Ohio State did lose to Michigan last year. It happens. But losing to SMU with the talent Miami has, that's a massive choke. And now Miami's playoff odds, which were probably above 70% just 3 weeks ago, are now somewhere around 15 or 20%. It's a total fall from grace. And the worst part is, we should have seen it coming. Because this, right here, is what Mario Cristobal does. These collapses are no longer rare mistakes. They're his signature. Last season was the same story. Miami started hot. They were 9-0, looking like a lock for the playoff. The path was simple. Beat Georgia Tech, beat Wake Forest, and handle Syracuse. That's it. And what happened? They lost to Georgia Tech. An excusable result. Georgia Tech was pretty good by the end of the year, and Miami was still easily in the playoff anyway. Then, after handling Wake Forest, they went to Syracuse. They went up 21-0, total control, and somehow managed to blow it. Final score 42-38, a complete meltdown. And suddenly, that playoff run everyone had been dreaming about was gone. You could feel the air go out of the program after that. The fan base knew it. The players knew it. It was another chapter in Cristobal's book of heartbreak. Last year, people made excuses. The defense was bad. They couldn't hold up in shootouts. The offense had to carry too much weight. But this year, that excuse is gone. This year, they have balance. The defense is great. The offense can move the ball. They fixed what was broken. And just when you thought that was going to make the difference, when it looked like this was finally the year Miami would break the cycle, Cristobal's team fell apart again. 2 losses in 3 games, right when it mattered most. And if this were new behavior, you could chalk it up to bad luck or growing pains. But it's not new. It's who he's been from the start. Let's rewind to 2023, arguably the most infamous loss of Cristobal's career. Miami's 4-0, ranked 17th in the country, hosting Georgia Tech. Late in the game, Miami leads by 3. It's 3rd down. The clock's under 40 seconds, and Georgia Tech has no timeouts. All Cristobal has to do was take a knee. Game over. Miami wins. The fans go home happy. Instead, they ran the ball. They fumbled. Georgia Tech recovered, drove down the field, and threw a 44-yard touchdown to win the game in the final seconds. Sure, the fumble was bad luck, but they never should have been in that situation to begin with. The game was already over. That's a total failure of leadership. A coach at this level, with that much on the line, can't make that mistake, ever. Quick timeout. If you like breakdowns like this, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm building this channel from scratch, and your support really helps me keep making content like this. Back to the video. Here's the thing. Even with all of the horrible mistakes, Cristobal isn't a bad coach. In some ways, he's been a good one. He took over for Manny Diaz after a 7-5 season and immediately went through some growing pains, going 5-7 his first year, But after that, he steadily improved. 7-6 the next year, 10-3 the year after that, and another solid season so far this year, at least record-wise. That's real progress. Miami is better than they were before he arrived. Recruiting has been excellent. The culture seems stronger. The team is physical again. All of that is true, but the improvement he's managed may or may not be enough. Miami might not get another roster like this every year. They might not have another path to the playoff this open every year either. Florida State and Florida have had multiple bad years in a row. While all the other Florida schools are down, this is the time to strike. This is Miami's window to dominate in-state recruiting and in turn make a title run. And Cristobal is wasting the opportunity. Miami's not a normal program. The standard is higher, and it has been for years. This is the same school that fired Larry Coker in 2006 after a 7-6 season. That might not sound that harsh until you remember what he did before that. 2 9-3 seasons, an 11-2 season, a 12-1 season, and a 12-0 season. He was fired because good wasn't good enough. That's the level of expectation Miami used to live by, and that's the level they want to get back to. Cristobal isn't failing badly enough to be on the hot seat yet, but he's also not doing enough to feel safe. If Miami goes 6-6 or 7-5 next year, this season's missed opportunity will look even worse in hindsight. Because let's be honest, this was their chance. The top dogs of the ACC are down, and after beating Notre Dame, there weren't a whole lot of tough opponents left. Florida State's in transition. Clemson looks awful, and teams like Louisville, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and a few others, while solid, aren't anything like the Clemson and Florida State teams of the past. With this wide open window, Miami has only managed a 2-2 record in conference play. They're eliminated from ACC championship contention already, with 6 teams ahead of them. Cristobal can build culture, and he can recruit talent, but at some point he has to win the games that matter, and that's where Cristobal keeps failing. Choking leads, blowing winnable games, making decisions that leave everyone scratching their heads. That's become the Miami experience under Cristobal. And if Miami wants to hang with the top programs like Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama, they can't have a coach who's still making rookie-level mistakes. You can't out-scheme Kirby Smart if you're mismanaging end-of-game situations. You can't beat Ryan Day if you're handing opponents extra possessions. Cristobal's teams don't lose because they're outclassed. They lose because they beat themselves. And that's the most frustrating thing. Everything else is in place. The players are good enough. The NIL backing is strong enough. The support is there. Miami has the tools to be elite. They just need a coach who doesn't keep getting in his own way. So what happens now? If Cristobal doesn't fix this soon, Miami risks being stuck in that purgatory tier. Good enough to compete, but never good enough to win it all. A program that lives in highlight clips and preseason hype videos, but never finishes the job. The type of team you want to believe in, but can't fully trust. And that's the worst place to be, because you can sell recruits on the "we're building something" pitch for only so long. Eventually you have to show results, and right now, Cristobal isn't showing them. At some point, Miami has to stop being a what-if story. The what-if Cristobal figures it out era can't last forever. But if he keeps blowing games like this, then Miami's ceiling won't be determined by their players. It'll be determined by their coach. And right now, that ceiling looks a lot lower than it should.